Now that we understand how OP-Mainnet works, it's time to review the OP stack, which powers OP-Mainnet. In this video, we will see the existing layers of the OP stack. We'll compare to a fixed menu on a fancy restaurant, and that will help us understand what we mean by modular. Again, the definition of the OP stack is an open source modular set of software components that people can use to build their own rollups. You could even shift that definition. It could be like software components built in a modular way, open source, so people can use them. The key idea, in my humble non-technical opinion, is modularity. Before we introduce this concept of the salad bar, okay, you don't have one salad, but you have the tomatoes, the cucumbers, and the onions, and you could pick from that. I think a better analogy to understand the OP stack is a fixed menu on a restaurant. So you go into a restaurant and you don't have just random ingredients you can bunch into your plate, but you have 3 appetizer options to choose from. So maybe it's some burrata, maybe some salad, and maybe some Argentinian empanada, which of course I would take. Then you have to choose between 3 options for your first dish. Maybe it's like pasta, chicken, meat, and something vegetarian. Maybe you have to choose for your companion, whatever you're gonna eat as a side dish. So you have fried potatoes, you have salad, you have smashed potatoes or something like that. I think you're already getting the point, right? We could also talk about drinks and desserts and make the menu much longer. But the idea is you need a set of things you have to get into your rollup. Those are the layers, and the OP stack is building different options for each of those layers so developers can pick from there. Now, which are the layers? And I hope I can get them by heart without having to read. We have settlement layer, we have governance layer, execution layer, derivation layer, data availability layer, and sequencing layer. I may have missed the order, but I guess it's gonna make my point even stronger. Now we're gonna go into each of them so you can get a better definition, but I really encourage you to go into the docs and to read them, take your time, really understand what's behind each of these layers that are exactly as your fixed menu when you go to dinner on Thursday. We will begin by data availability. When we explained OP-Mainnet, we said a lot of times that the information is posted to Ethereum. Ethereum is the data availability layer of OP-Mainnet and is now the only option of the OP stack. However, eventually we could have data availability option for Celestia or for other possibilities, and developers will be able to choose where they want to put the data from the rollup. Second is the sequencing. The sequencing is not where to post the data, but how to post the data. How is the process to get the L2 blocks, and how is that eventually going to be posted somewhere else like Ethereum or Celestia. Currently, the only option is via a centralized sequencer, and this is how OP-Mainnet works, but we may have multiple sequencers in the future. Third layer we will see is the derivation layer, and the derivation layer is the process through which the data is extracted from wherever it's posted and then sent to be executed. So how is that process? What are the programs you can use to get the data that you posted, and with that be able to derive the blocks of the layer 2. Now we go into the 4th layer, which is the execution layer. How are we going to execute the blocks that we were able to derive with the derivation layer? You can see how everything is connected, right? Now the current option is the EVM, but eventually we may have many different types of virtual machines to select from with the OP stack. The next layer, number 6, is the governance layer. How are you gonna define the processes for upgrading the system, for managing the system? Is it gonna be with token voting? Is it gonna be with a multi-sig? Maybe eventually in the future we could have a system in which we use NFTs or attestations so we can kind of tie down this voting power to the participation within the community or within the OP collective. Anyway, there are many ideas we could bring in, but the key of this layer is the definition of the processes to upgrade and manage the system. Now, last but not least, we have the settlement layer, and this is basically the option of other chains to view the information on your chain a key ingredient for the vision of the superchain, in which many OP chains, many blockchains built using the OP stack have a shared settlement layer that they can use to interact with each other in a native way. This is a key piece of the idea of the superchain, and that's exactly what we will talk about in the next video, so stay watching, stay optimistic.